Good evening, everyone. It's Tom Sidney Bushnell, aka Numbers, here from Site Club and from the Tom Numbers Show. And I've got Rachel Rightside along with me. How are you, Rach?
I'm good. Do you like my pink shirt? I'm trying to match the Site Club logo perfectly.
That's what I'm thinking. I've got the Tom Numbers Show, the black and the purple.
We got you represented.
Exactly. We're well represented because people can log on to both now. So I think we'll put this up on Site Club. But Tom Numbers Show is just as important. So you've got to keep subscribed to it and subscribe to Rachel's channel if you want to see all the weekly updates on the George collection. So, well, Rachel, I think it was a couple of weeks ago we did our last show. So tell us about, so you went to Nashville, didn't you? And you met a few people. Tell us about that, because some people might have seen some pictures on Telegram and stuff, but tell us what happened. Oh, also, just a bit of housekeeping, just before we carry on. Mm-hmm. I was going to bring this up, but it's appropriate to bring it up now. So we've got Adventures in a Cosmic Suit, the Mark Atwood live event in April. We've got two. So it's Mark, it's Janine, it's me, it's Matt Letitia, and then one or two others are coming. And there's two events. One's in Manchester. There'll be 444 people. And then in Ireland, it's going to be in a castle. I think I can say that, Mark, because he changed venues. It's going to be in a castle, but he's going to release where it's going to be in the next couple. I think you should try and come, Rach. You could represent George, come over. It'll be the UK, but everybody knows you. So I think you should have a chat with Dave and George and see if you should come over.
Well, this is a good time to announce that George is now we can now ship internationally. So I've had people reach out and say, I can't order because you can't ship it. And now we can. So that's a huge plus to the magazine. So we're excited to be able to do that now.
Well, there you go. That's nicely coincided. So I think you should maybe see if you can come Manchester. And
when is it?
So it's Saturday, the 15th of April, which is a Saturday. That's in Manchester. That's at the event. Like, it'll be like any of the other events you've been to in the States, but it'll be a UK based one. I think we've got some people we'll probably have some people as far as Australia coming. I reckon that's what we usually get when we do these events here. But then the gala, the dinner, so Posh do gala dinner, is in Ireland, which is 4 days later on Wednesday, the 19th. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you're here, you can travel around and see bits of England and London and Scotland and all that. So anyway, I put it out there, but maybe George, maybe you can, combine the two. And now that you can ship internationally, people need to see and feel and talk to George. So Rachel can come over. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome if I could go. But I truth be told, have not been overseas. It's pathetic, but I need to get over there. So now that I have some friends overseas.
Yeah. Well, you've got me, Mark, Janine, and Matt, and you've done shows with all of us. Mm-hmm. So you're being good company, and people here in the UK know who you are. And now that George is international and you can ship international, then, I think, because really, I don't know, probably just take a few hours longer than it would anywhere else in the States, really, So
yeah, especially from Iowa, nothing is direct. It seems like all these places you got to lay over and sends you like the opposite direction before you get sent back to Des Moines. So you're right. You're probably right with that.
Yeah, and it wouldn't even be. It's probably not even that much in terms of cost difference, really. Yeah. You could probably fly direct. Well, you can fly direct from Washington DC. You can fly from Boston for sure. Boston's quick. When I came back, it was actually supposed to be 6 and something hours. It was less than 6. They did it an hour less, like 5.5, 5:50, something like that.
Wow, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, it was really quick. I think you can fly probably directly from Chicago, probably from Dallas, I'm sure Minneapolis. Yeah, anywhere that you would connect around the US, you could just then get straight to London. Or, Manchester. You could probably Manchester would do direct flights as well. So
I'll put it on my radar.
Put it on your radar.
Put it on my radar.
Yeah. Well, Mark's been saying, who asked me? I'm like, well, now I'm thinking it was like, yeah,
I know that'd
maybe,
be. It's just hard because we've got all these events. We've got some Reawaken stuff coming up. I know. I think Baby Trump's having an event April 7th. So there's all kinds of different things. So it just depends on the schedule and what coincides.
where's the Baby Trump one?
Where is it? It's in Frisco, Texas again, where his last one was.
Frisco. That's
Frisco.
where I know that. You know Jurgen Klinsmann. Do you remember the Jurgen Klinsmann video? The soccer coach, German soccer coach of the US.
Oh yeah.
So when I first went, when I'd met him before, but years ago, I went down to Frisco when he was manager of the US, and he got me tickets because they played. I think it was Panama and Honduras. It was in the Gold Cup, so the US and the Central America and Caribbean. And they played each other. So it was 2 back-to-back games, but I was in Frisco and I was with Jurgen in the afternoon. So I know Frisco, well, bits of it. The Dallas United, is it Dallas United or Dallas FC? Can't remember, but the MLS team played there, but I saw the national team.
Yeah, I'm just happy it's south of Iowa, so it's warmer because this cold is killing me. I'm ready to be in the warmth again. So yeah, it'll be good. It'll be a good event. Plus, it's on 4/7, so I'm like, well, I have to be there if it's 4/7. So
there you go.
See.
I wonder why it's so cold. Yeah, because it's cold here. So I was walking along the beach last night, and it was dark. It was only like 5:30 in the evening, but it's dark by then, and it was freezing. It was like 0. I was like, this is cold. It was 0, and I'm just in shorts and hoodie and few layers, but I like to just kind of, if I'm out and about on the beach, I like to, and it was just cold, really cold. But prior to that, a couple of nights before, I saw 2 ships in the sky, 2 lights in the sky. I hadn't seen ships for a while, and I was like, man. And then all of a sudden, there's 2. I can see Orion very clearly. I can see Mars, and further around is Jupiter. I think even by the moon now is Venus. I need to check. I think it's Venus, but definitely Mars is up by the Pleiades and the 7 Sisters, and then I'm looking and I'm like, well, yeah, ships, and then all of a sudden just 2, boom, here. This moves slightly, not much, and then they fade off again. 30 seconds later.
I was listening to your Juan video about the moon. That was fascinating.
Yeah,
he really got into it. I was like, wow, Juan, that's awesome. You're getting awfully detailed all of a sudden. That's good.
I know, it's really good. I think it's the best one I've done with him so far.
I think that's a good sign. Maybe that's a good sign that he's getting more in depth with certain things. Like he feels like he can share stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, he said in it, you'd have heard that he basically said, he'll be able to talk in future episodes about other places other than the moon. So other places, other planets,
all fascinating.
I know. And it's made it's like shifted my, and he said, it shifted my paradigm of what's actually going on. I'm like, we were under a compressed hydrogen.
Compressed hydrogen, yep.
Yeah. Canopy 74 gematria.
Jeez.
So there you go. we were under that. And then talking of canopies, so actually I'll hold that thought. So we'll finish this one, but then the canopy, something else has come up to do with Star Trek and Fast and the Furious. But so he's talking about like it's a lens. So you could see the moon and stars and the galaxies are way closer up, look clearer. Like, so that feels like we're in a dome. And I was talking to Mark today about it because he watched the show. And some people think, and one said the Earth's getting bigger. Like, he said, so that's an action of going forward, getting bigger. What does that mean? Is it getting bigger to our perception, or is it literally getting bigger? I think he has spoken about that briefly, where it's kind of, and it gets bigger. But Mark was thinking, is he alluding to these other places on the Earth, and we were just this bit under a dome, almost like an iris, like a fish lens? I don't know.
Yeah, it's so confusing because that you've got like the firmament, the dome, and then we have planets. So it's hard for me to know, like, okay, if we're in a dome, how do we see the other? How do we see the planets? So that magnifying, when he was talking about it being a lens, kind of made sense. And then how do we get to those planets? How do we get up there? It's just all of it. There's different theories in the movement. So it's been interesting to just hear everyone's theories and what they think is the case. I don't know. I would love to know for sure, but
I'd love to know. And I'm like, I've been thinking about doves for the last 2 or 3 weeks when he dropped that one on us, the White Dove Society. And see, that's the other thing. I didn't do it in the show, but so Forbidden Planet is 145, which is numerology. It's interestingly Scotland plus England, because that's Tesla plus Trump, 5788. George Trump, if there was ever such a person, would be 145. Wonder Woman is 145, and he was talking about comics. And there is this place in England, in London, Forbidden Planet comic store with all the memorabilia and everything. And then he was, but Forbidden Planet is 145. But a Forbidden Planet is 146, which is New Jerusalem, which is the dove. And I'm like, so is the dove, is it the moon? Is that part of it? I don't know, because I've been thinking it's this separate ship. But maybe it's always been there. I don't know. Is it? I'm not sure.
I know. It's just every time you listen to one, it's like he throws something else in there. So you think you might have a grasp on what's going on. And then he totally just like throws this new thing on your lap and you're like, what? Okay, now I got to go and look into this now. So it's good that he does that, because if he gave it all to us, like, a year ago, I think a lot of us would have been like, what in the world is he talking about? And it would have just like little tidbits here and there is good for us to slowly, come to terms with what the truth is. So, or what possibilities lie above us. So it's been interesting. Yeah. I appreciate his insight.
I do. I'm really looking forward to that, because that's, that was just perfect. And I can't remember, did I send you a Forbidden Planet picture in the last, I don't know, month, a Back to the Future clip? I thought about it. I thought I sent it to you, but I think I might have.
You might have.
Because it's George McFly. But George is 57, McFly's 59 Joker. George McFly, it's a Tesla Joker, card, Trump card. But George McFly is in his bed with a Forbidden Planet magazine, and then Marty comes in dressed as Darth Vader and Vulcan. The Star Trek and the Star Wars splice in this, yellow diving suit thing,
it's like with a mask and
all all that. A Breaking Bad Walter White suit, all that. Walter is 79, the dove. Walter White, the dove, the white dove, Walter White, Breaking Bad, and then it freaks him out, George. But yeah, Forbidden Planet is in Back to the Future, so there's a point to it. I need to watch the film Forbidden Planet. I don't think I've ever seen it. One, encourage all of us to watch it.
I'd like to see one's. Juan always talks about his sci-fi collection, different magazines and everything. I think it'd be fascinating just to see what he has. I just picture this room full of like magazines and books and movies and all kinds of, who knows what he has.
Yeah, that would be great. I'm sure we'll get to do that. So our canopy. So I was thinking, this is amazing how all this works, because I was thinking, and I've sent you this. I think I put it on my Telegram. So in Star Trek, the J.J. Abrams version, with Chris Pine. I think it's Chris Pine. Is it Chris Pine? Yeah, the blend of Matt Damon and DiCaprio. If they ever produced a child, it'd be Chris Pine. But anyway, so Chris Pine. And Chris Hemsworth is in it, but he dies very early, and then he becomes Thor, in movies later. But I'm sure it's because I sent it to you, because it was Iowa. There's a big ravine. So it's James Tiberius Kirk. It's the young Captain Kirk, and he's a rebel. He's like a tearaway. He's not even, he's a teenager, but he's really young in it. Maybe like, I don't know, 13, 14, 15, and he's nicked his dad's car, or his stepfather's got a car or whatever. And then he pulls the canopy, so the soft top, the convertible part, he rips the canopy off, and it just goes, and he's like, and he's racing towards the ravine, and then he does this handbrake turn and jumps out of the car. The car is destroyed, goes down the ravine, and he's grappling to hold on, gets it up, and then there's this electronic cop. It's like, citizen, what is your name? It's like, James Tiberius Kirk, and then it cuts forward to when he's Captain Kirk, when he's a grown man. But then I saw the Fast and the Furious the other night, And I'd forgotten so many pieces of it. But there's a piece in there where Paul Walker does the same thing, and he's in this orange convertible up against this big truck, and he rips the canopy out. So there's 2 films of the canopy just gone. Like, you know, if you're going to pull this up, but it looks dramatic. And I was thinking of those 2 scenes today, and now you brought up the canopy. I'm like, so they're telling us the canopy is gone. It's destroyed, you know, because I know when I've had convertible cars, I've I've not thrown the canopy away but they've just ripped the whole thing off. It's like, wait, it's topless. It's completely gone. There's no chance of going back. So the canopy's gone. And I asked that question about what are you saying about would we go to other places? Because I said, if it's going to get restored, will we have the canopy back? And he said, well, we're going to go to the stars. We're going to explore. We're going to move on. You know, we'll be, I guess, here as a base, but we'll go other places. So we won't really need a canopy. That's what he said. That's what he alluded to. So
it's crazy. It's just mind blowing just listening to all of this, because it's so not what we learned. It's so not what we learned.
No, we didn't learn any of this.
I know. And then if you try to have a conversation, people think you're nuts. So this is why we just talk to each other. We talk amongst each other, and you know.
And then everyone else is listening in. They're all in. Our loyal fans are, and then all the others on the fence are listening in. You know.
Yeah. Yes.
You know what? You've reminded me of a question. Actually, I need to ask Janine this, but about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was out on the pier, and the subject of NPCs had come up. So the non-player characters, you know. And there was this guy that was looking at me, and it's almost like he wanted me to notice him, and he noticed that he was looking at me, but there was no like conversation. There was a few other people out on the pier, and but something weird about his eye. Like, it's almost like he had a glass eye. I don't think it was a glass eye, but it was something very different. It was like, and the kind of, you see things, but there's always a communication of energy, you know, between any interaction, verbal or non. And I was like, is he giving me a soft disclosure that he's not actually a proper full-on human? Because one talked about humanoids. That's the first time I ever heard him talk about humanoids. So I was like, who is this guy? And then he meets some other people, but he wanted me to notice him. And I noticed him sufficiently to realize that there was something peculiar about his appearance. And I was like, is he a super soldier? Is he a non-player character? Is he a humanoid? What was he? Because there was something in his eye, and it was like, it was different. I need to ask her and just see what pulls up. I've meant to, but I haven't done it. And I don't know. I'm open to all possibilities, and I get shown bits and bits, you know, along the way regularly, and I'm like, is that not really quite what I think it is on the tin, you know?
I know.
I wouldn't know, because they act like humans. I mean, clones, you know. We've probably bumped into some clones, you know.
I'm sure all the Hollywood stars have started. I've seen so many TikToks lately of, maybe it's just the algorithm, but they're you know, people coming out saying that there are clones, that they do exist. And, you know, of course, if they do exist, they're not going to obviously come out and tell us that. So it's true. I mean,
but the thing is, they might just tell you in jest. They might just joke about it.
I have so many questions about the clone thing. Like, do they have brains? Like, how do they, their consciousness? I don't get it. I don't understand it, but maybe someday we'll learn about that stuff too.
Well, I remember asking Janine a bit about clones, and she was saying that their consciousness was different. So they had like a physical body, which I guess, you know, they would, but not just from, because I was like, what you were thinking, I was like, is it just literally just a mechanical body suit, and then it gets switched on and that's it? And she seemed to think that the essence of them was different internally, like the spirit element, the conscious element was different. Maybe we have to go into that again with it more in detail, but that's what she seemed to be saying. And maybe there's layers of it, because the other thing is, they were saying, so in the newspapers, I've said this before, but Daily Star, I think, is the Q paper, because Daily Star is 109 17 109, Site Club 109, Zapruder 109, Witness 109, Dinah Spencer 109, all of them. Trillion 109. But all through 2020, 2021, they would take the mick out of the leaders here. And that's the thing in England. They'll put up with stuff as long as you can take the mick out of your superiors. That's the payoff for the British public, So they'll do as they're told as long as they can just poke fun at it. And so, but they kept calling Boris Johnson clown, or Coco the clown, and then Bobo the clown, and then Hancock was the clown. So a lot of people think that they got, changed. But if you think of if you see the way the word is spelled, clone, CLOWN. So OWN is own. The word own is spelled and sounds OWN, own. But then if you put CL in front, clone, that's clown. We pronounce it clown, but it's actually, you could pronounce it legitimately clone, because it's CLOWN, own, clone.
I've never thought about that before.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And they put it there in the face, So it's like, what is a clown? Well, a clown is, and even in films and cartoons, this clone or clown is it's dead until it gets switched on, until the consciousness is switched on. That's another thing. So I know about this. I know people can go into surrogation for other people. I know that's a real thing.
I know, and it's like, how do they get to be the same age as the person? Like, will they have like something that makes them grow quicker? Or there's so many questions I have, and I know a lot of people do, because anytime I bring it up, these are the questions people ask me, and I am like, that's a good question. I don't know how that works, but I'm sure they have some way of doing it, but I don't know how.
I know there's so many things. It's like, well, how? And then you just see, you just do, and then it's this. So I know that, going into surrogation, you can do that in good ways. You can do things on behalf of others, and if you get permission, you've got permission protocols to do it. But I realized that I learned about that in 2019, so the year before we went into 2020. So that helped. I think that helped prepare my mind and psyche for the possibility that things like clones were, because otherwise that'd been another one. Like, what the heck? But I'm not actually. I can see how that can be done. At a certain level. Yeah.
You'll be. I got to share a story with you. So this morning I was cleaning out my daughter's homework folder, and she's in kindergarten, so she's just learning to write letters. So the letter was Q, and so it was just a bunch of Q's on a sheet of paper, and then the other sheet of paper had a frog on it and a fox. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting that the letter was Q, and the animals were a frog, which reminds me of Pepe.
The
fox, I've been seeing red foxes everywhere, Tom. I've seen them 3 times now, which they're not super common in Iowa to see. Like you will see them occasionally, but seeing a red fox 3 different times within like a month and a half. So I looked it up, and apparently some people say red fox means like a sudden change. So it was interesting I'm like, I pull that out. And another weird thing happened with her class. So she got in the car, I picked her up from school one day, and she's like, oh, it's so-and-so's birthday. It's somebody's birthday today. And then 2 days later, it was another person's birthday. And the first kid in her class, his name was John. The next birthday was George. I'm like, okay, this is crazy, because John, obviously the connection, and then there's George. So what are the chances that, she has both of those names in her class for a kindergartner? Most parents in America are naming their kids kind of weird, not like traditional John and George type names. So it's just interesting that both of them, she's got both of those kids in her. It's just weird. So I thought you'd find that interesting. You would, of all people, find that interesting.
I do. That's cool, actually, because John and George, 47 plus 57 is 104, which is Jerusalem. And you've got New Jerusalem. It's where I think I've told you this before, but I grew up. The street I grew up on when I was a kid was Snowden, and that was 104.
Wow.
And then the town I grew up in was also 104.
Was it smelled? Was it spelled the same, like Snowden, like Edward Snowden, or? I
think it's SO. So it's it's Snow and then Don. So it's Snow 71 site,
okay.
and then Don DON 33 Magic, or Gate, Smart Gate, Princess Diana. Well, sorry, Lady Diana Gate. Yeah, 104. So Snowdon. How does Edward spell his? That's different, isn't it?
I think it's with an IN at the end.
Okay, Snowdon. Yeah, Snowdon. There you go. Snowdon. It's on Vices. I don't know if I remember this. I didn't remember. I must have done it, but I don't remember it. So 46 is Frog, which is Dove. So you've got Q Frog or Dove. So 17Q plus 46 is 63. That's the year of Kennedy. And he was 46. He was age 46. So apparently I said it quite quick in the Gene Decode show I did a couple of days ago. But I was saying in there that Kennedy was aged 46, and that happened in 63. And if you add 46 plus 63, it comes to 109 again, which is Witness, which is and then in the Harrison Ford film, Witness, Rachel is the main female protagonist in that film. And it's a great film. 109 is Sight Club. But if you do so Fox, I know that Fox is 45. So 45th president. So you got Fox News, you got 45 News. 45 is Spade. So the highest suit in the deck. President Trump talked about the Ace of Spades when he did the Space Force flag ceremony, and also I'm just going to check this, but it is So people talk about tip of the spear. So tip is also 45, which is Fox, which is effect, the word effect, and it's also Spade, as in, and I guess the out of all the symbols in the deck of cards, the four of them, the Spade looks the most like, if you said, right, you got to pick a spear tip, then it would be that,
right.
What does spear come to? I've forgotten this one. SPEAR. Spear is SPEAR, isn't it? There's no E at the end. Spear. So for spear is 59. What did I say 59 earlier for George McFly?
Yep.
Tesla spear. This is good. So spear is 59 because that's McFly. Price spear, because Marty McFly. So George McFly is 116. That's Letitia. That's country. So they get the country back. So George McFly's future is going to be ruined because of Biff and the timelines. If he doesn't correct it, he plucks up the courage, fights back, and then his timeline is changed. So you get George McFly 116, Letitia 116. That's definitely stood up. And 116 is country. So that in the movie, they get the country back. They get George McFly back.
Speaking of like timing, okay, there was this video I saw the other day where this girl, and I don't know how this timeline thing works or timeline jumping or, all this stuff, but there was a girl was telling a story that she went to Goodwill to look for something specific. And her daughter was with her and she wanted these shoes, these Elsa shoes. And so she's like, they were $2. So I said, okay, sure, get them. She brought them home and put the shoes in her daughter's playroom, like for her dress up in her daughter's room. She went away, came back, and then saw that the same Elsa shoes in their like family, where the family puts their shoes by the front door. And so she's like, oh, she must have already played with them. So she picked them up and took them back to her daughter's room and put them back in the play area. And the same shoes were already in the bin. So she's like, well, that's weird. Okay, so now I have 2 pairs of the same shoes. What's crazy though is that on one pair, the left buckle was broken. On the other pair, the right buckle was broken. If you turn the shoes upside down, there was writing on the shoes and it was the same handwriting on each shoe. She's like, I have 2 pairs of shoes and I have no idea. I've called my mom, I've called my husband, I've called all these people and I don't know how I've ended up with these 2 shoes. Just super bizarre. So I've heard that story, and I've heard another one where this woman was out having fun with her friend. They were drinking, they come home and that they both fall asleep on the couches in the living room. The girl wakes up and her friend is leaving, and she has like a stain on her shirt, and her friend gets up and leaves, and she's like, okay, well, I guess I'll talk to you later. And so she leaves, and then she goes back to sleep. She wakes up in the morning again, and her friend is still sleeping on the couch next to her. And she's like, I swear you left. I remember you getting up and leaving. The friend's like, no, I've been here the whole time. She gets up and makes coffee. The friend ends up spilling coffee on the same spot where that spot was on her shirt earlier when her friend had seen her. She gets ready to leave, and the front door is unlocked. And she's like, okay, the door was locked. Nobody, unlocked the door in the middle of the night. So somebody got up and left. Then she goes outside. She finds her car key or her keys on the ground outside of her front door. So she picks them up and brings them to put them back where she normally puts her keys. And there's another set of keys there already, the same keys. So now she has 2 sets of keys. So there's weird things happening. Now, these people could just be making this up for entertainment purposes, but to me, they felt real. These people were super confused. And, it just brings up the whole, like, with the CERN being a significant concern with a lot of people in terms of what it was allowed to do and what it could do, and shifting timelines. CERN gave us a lot of concerns. CERN.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they named it that, because it's a big concern. I don't know. No, but I think there's something going on here, but we don't know what it is. And I mean, if we did shift timelines somehow, or if there's something going on with time, how would we know anyway? So all of this stuff is so fascinating to me. And it seems like I've been seeing more and more of these kind of stories pop up. But I knew you'd find those things interesting. I might have sent those to you. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't, but it's crazy.
It's funny that you talk about shoe. So someone messaged me today and they talked about shoe. I think they might have misspelt it. And I think Juan sent me a mistype about shoe. I think it was supposed to be show, or I did it to someone, either show or shoe. Shoe has come up a couple of times in the last 2 days in a strange way. So shoe, guess what shoe comes to?
What?
Rachel, 47, John.
Wow.
And you talked about 2 shoes. So 2 shoes. So 2 is 58, which is Star, Nasara, Robin, Ivanka, XRP. But 2 shoes. So 47 plus, but that would take it to 66, which is woman, which is happy, which is event, Thames. Anyway, River Thames is 138, which is Donald Trump. But so if you do 2 shoes, actually this will it do it? Yeah, it will. So 2 shoes. Okay, so 2 shoes. Well, no, 2 shoes is 124, which is compassion. I figured that one. Someone sent something a week ago, about miracles and compassion. And compassion is 124. 124 is New Jersey. That's where the Statue of Liberty technically is.
Isn't it Michael Jackson?
Michael Jackson, 124. Yeah.
And I love you. These are the ones I just have memorized for some reason.
Well, thank you very much, Rach. 124. And it's also gigawatts, which is the amount of power that you need in Back to the Future to do the time travel jump. 1.21 gigawatts. We had January 21st, just a couple of days ago, 1.121. But I love you. Okay. Yeah, 124. That's cool. I'll remember that one. I like that. But compassion, which is is showing that you love
it is
someone.
124 today, right? That's the date today.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Blow me over. It is. Brilliant. Yep. Yeah, 124. So there we go. So 2 shoes is 124.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah. 124. We're in a matrix, Rach.
I know. Someone commented on my last, that my 47th George collection video was talking about the Trump issue. And then at the end, I said, I'm going to tell you why I have the hourglasses behind me, and it's because Sand is 38 and John Kennedy Jr. was 38 when he had his the plane crash. I'm 38 now, so it's a number that connects us. And 47 is another number that connects us because it's Rachel and John. And so it's just kind of a way to connect the old George with the new George collection show. And someone said 4 + 7 is 11 and 3 + 8 is 11. I was like, wow, I didn't even think about that. So both of those numbers that connect us they both equal 11 too.
That's cool. Yeah, that's very cool. And if you do, so 38 is also change. It's gold, like you said, it's sand, it's ocean, it's fire, it's death. The death is change. Jamaica, President Trump was born in Jamaica Queen's Hospital. Jamaica Hospital is 138. Donald Trump 138. Africa's one is 38. But yeah, so death is 38. My cousin Paul, interesting enough, he was age 38 when he died as well.
That's crazy.
So, but yeah, you have to keep
Wasn't
alive.
that date? Wasn't his birthday in January, or was his death in January? Wasn't something in January to do with him?
Yeah, so January 18th, 118 is his birthday. And we had someone just in a group I was part of here I still am here in the UK. She died on the 119, but her birthday added up with her name adds up to 118. And I saw that. I was like, oh wow, because that was the very first number I got, 118, with Paul and those two girls across the water on different days. Same date of birth as Paul. And it all coincided. He died. I went to America, met Ivanka, and these numbers started coming, but not in the way it was like an initiation to it. But then fast forward 5 years to 2020, and then the numbers just came like crazy, But yeah, 118 is the awakening. It's the storm, and that's the other thing. So 47, Rachel plus 38. So atomic silver is number 47. If you add the word gold, 38, that comes to 85, which is the word silver, 85. So all the atomic, all the names and atomic numbers for all of them add up as well, So if you do silver and gold, so silver plus gold, the two words, 38 plus 85 comes to 123. 123 comes to Eric Trump, and you met Eric again at the weekend. 123 comes to Missouri. There's a lot of stuff around Missouri. The last Awakening tour in the last year was in Missouri. 123 is Abraham Lincoln. If I remember right, I think it's Angel Moroni. Trump's been called Captain Moroni before in Utah by rallies over there. They physically said, "Oh, he's Captain Moroni," and the numbers add up. What Captain Moroni is 148, Donald J. Trump. But if you do atomic silver, which is 47, which is John, which is Rachel, which is Sarah, which is France. Anna Marin's told me this. I think I'd heard this before, but she reminded me of it. They say that Jesus was with Mary Magdalene. Mary's 57. Actually, Mary Magdalene is 119. We just spoke about 119. 119 is redemption. 119 is Nikola Tesla. But one of the tales or stories or legends or truths is that Jesus was with Mary Magdalene, and they escaped to France. And they had a child, Sarah. Sarah's 47, France is 47. The mirror image of 47 is 74, which is Jesus, which is Messiah, which is Muhammad, which is English, which is DeLorean, which is London, which is Canopy, now that we know. But if you do atomic number for gold is 79, which is the dove. 79 is nature. 79 is mother. 79 is wonder. 79 is super. But if you add them together, it's 126. 126 is Chinese elders. 176 is John Connor. 126 is Sarah Connor. And 126 is 107. And actually, the the last words that Juan said in the video we did a couple of days ago, I think he said, "Thanks, Guy." He said, "Thanks, Guy." I remember. Let me just check this. He said, "Thanks, Guy." He said Tom a few times in the show, but he said, "Thanks, Guy." I was like, okay. So thanks is 54, which is love.
Mhm.
Thanks is 73, which is kingdom. It's children. It's Egypt. It's obelisk. So you've got the good and bad numbers carrying up, but Guy is 53. So yeah, he said, "Thanks, Guy." He said, "Thanks, Tom." And that's 126, which is John Connor, which is Sarah Connor, which is Chinese elders, but it's also 107. So he said, "Thanks, Guy," 126, right at the end of the show. So I don't know if he's saying, is 107 me in the future as he come back? He does remind me of my cousin Paul sometimes, a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah, he does a little bit. So I thought this before. I'm like, is he an amalgamation from the future of me and my cousin? I don't know. But have you seen, so the picture, so the picture we could put out, and you've got the pictures of him. When you see one, me and him don't look too dissimilar. We're both gorgeously handsome. We've got our kids and we're smiling away. And so there's the one with you, me and him. There's a couple like that when he's signing and all, but then there's one of me and him. I think you took it, or someone else in the crowd did. On that first night when it was like Beatles Mania, it was like a frenzy. Right. And there's me and him there, and we don't look too dissimilar at all.
You're about the same height. I mean, he's
about the same height.
Pretty tall, especially with his boots on.
Yeah, we've got our beards, and he's the Hollywood version of the one.
He came up on stage in December when I was about to speak in Frisco, and it's just so refreshing because I'm 5'11". I'm tall. And of course I was wearing heels because I'm about to give a presentation, but he just walks right up there and he's way taller than me. And it's just so refreshing to be able to stand up tall and not feel like I'm towering over people.
Stand up tall, chest out. Yeah. I actually did. Were you wearing heels with Eric at the weekend?
I was wearing
platform wedges.
Kind of wedges. Yeah. Not
so
super big.
I was like, either he shrunk or Rachel's wearing some kind of heels. But I was like, she doesn't look like she's wearing his wedges. He is tall. Yeah.
He's very tall. And I feel like I walked up to him and I was like, "It's Eric, right?" I was just teasing him. He's like, he laughed. He thought that was funny. And then I was wearing my George shirt. So he said, "Oh, what's on your shirt?" So I said, "Oh, I'm with George. And obviously this is your dad." And we took a picture and he was really, really nice. Super nice guy. And
was Trump on? He was on the T-shirt picture.
Yeah. Yep. So it's the first cover of the new George, which is
it was that one. Yeah.
Yes. So I was wearing that shirt and he asked me about it. So that was really cool that he pointed it out to me. So
that was cool.
And again, he's very tall. So I like feeling not so huge. Nothing against short people. I love short people too, but man, when you're tall and you're wearing heels, you're like, oh.
Towering inferno.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've told me this before and I'm trying to remember what it is. I know what it is. Yeah. Okay. This is interesting. So Eric Trump 123, add George 57. That's a 180. That's cool. And then add Rachel 47. It's 227. That's Jesus' birthday, the 11th of September. It's also the New Yorker Hotel. And New Yorker is on 8th Avenue. It's the Tesla Hotel, but 8th is 57 George. Yeah, 57 Tesla. George magazine.
Really, we just released our 4th issue a couple days ago. It's called the New Hollywood issue, and there's a really, really awesome article written by Kevin Schmidt, who is on Cheaper by the Dozen, and he's been in other movies, and he was on Young and the Restless. And he wrote this amazing prologue to a book that he's working on, but he let us publish it. And it talks about his journey from Wichita to Hollywood. And then now he's working at the smallest county in Maryland just for the county. It just talks about the shifts in Hollywood And it's such a good story. I was trying to cut it down for the magazine and I just couldn't figure out what to take out of it. So it's a very long article, but it's really awesome. And it's a white cover. It's a plain white cover, and it represents new start, fresh start, forgiveness, new year. And then there's also an article about John Michael Chambers with American Media Periscope. So to me, it's an awesome issue because it just represents fresh start, new renewal, forgiveness, kind of, and hopefully just hope for the future.
Yeah.
As to where we're going to the light side. And so, yeah, it's an awesome issue. Lots of incredible stories inside of it. So I got to give my George plug because I'm really proud of this issue in particular. It has some really awesome stories, and not that the others don't, but this one, that Hollywood one, is really good.
That's very cool. That's Hope for the Future is 207. That's White Dove Society.
Mm-hmm.
And if you drop the 0, that's 27. That's JFK. That's code. And Maryland, is it spelled Maryland? Maryland.
Yeah, Maryland. Yep, Maryland is how it's spelled.
So get this right. So if you do Mary, which is 57, which is George, which is Tesla, land is 31, which is old. 31 plus 57, see what that comes to.
31 plus 57.
So Mary 57, land 31, see what that comes to.
88.
Yeah. And I was just thinking, I was going to say, are you going to do an article with Eric? Did you get to ask him?
Oh, no, this was just there was a line of people. So it was just a quick say hi, take a picture,
Oh, it was a line. It was a line.
Mm-hmm. Yep. There's probably like 3 or 4 people in the green room at the time that I've seen him before. I was with you when I saw him the first time, and he just kind of pops in and out. So if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, you won't catch him. So I just happened to be
in like there. Mr. Ben. He's that character, that time traveling character in the kids shows here on BBC. Just pop in and out.
Yeah. That's the one time I was in the room. I was in there for 20 minutes and he just happened to show up at the same time. So it was awesome. I got to say hi and take a picture with him finally. And he got to see my George shirt. So it was cool. I was really happy. Good. I also got to meet the country singer John Rich was there from Big and Rich. The song like The Horse Ride a Cowboy. Yeah, he was super nice too. Very nice guy. So
do you remember the numbers on John Rich?
Yes, that's insane.
So we've spoken about them already. So Rich is 38, which is gold, which is balance, which is sand, ocean, fire. I think it's advisable. I want to incorporate every day, but in the ocean, on the sand, and a fire in the evening, I think is a good thing because you have the fresh air and the elements: earth, air, fire, and water. I think that would be a good thing. Actually, they all come to Trump. They come to 185 Donald John Trump. If you do earth, air, fire, and water, I think, I'm pretty sure they come to 185. And talking to 185, change the frequency to 185. Donald J. Trump. It's also Rushmore, Keystone Rushmore, because Keystone is at Rushmore. It's just below.
I got to get going here soon, but before I do, I want to tell you.
Oh, sorry, I was going to say John Rich is 85, so he's atomic. John is 47, atomic silver. You talked about 38 with John, and then
the 2 numbers
gold,
that we were just talking about.
85.
Yeah.
What's that?
They were the same numbers we were just talking about, 38 and 47. But one of my colleagues at George bought like a tribute issue. I can't remember which magazine it was, but it was John Kennedy Jr. sitting in front of Mount Rushmore, and like it was positioned where his head was like, it was like Mount Rushmore, and then like his head was next in line.
Yeah.
And it said the art of being JFK Jr., which to me it sounded like the art of war, and then with Mount Rushmore, it was just super. I'll send you the picture. It was crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, send me that.
It was really interesting.
And send me that with the phrase and the gematria in it. Because I think I'd known this before, but it came to me again last night. And so if you do if you do Liberty and Lighting of the World 320, which is the Statue of Liberty's proper name.
I'll keep talking so you can.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I've seen that.
So the crowd can see what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
the arc of being JFK Jr.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So 320, John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr., which is also John Fitzgerald Kennedy Truth. And then you add the word yes, which is 49, takes you to 369, the Tesla numbers. So if you do yes, Liberty and Lighting the World, I've been saying for a long time that Statue of Liberty is becoming a good thing, because it's 198, it's President Trump, it's the resurrection. Which President Trump is it? President Trump Donald, or is it President Trump Ivanka? Both. Bolt of Lightning is 171. Bolt of Lightning, I think, will probably hit the Statue of Liberty again, and that comes to 369. That also comes to yes, Liberty and Lighting the World. That comes to yes, John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr. Yes, John Fitzgerald Kennedy Truth. And 369 are the Tesla numbers, but 369 is also John Kennedy Witness Protection. And there's also time travel witness protection. And it's all 369, you know.
That's
it's all
crazy.
369. And it's also Tesla. So Tesla said if you knew the power of 3, 6, and 9, you spell 3, it's 56 light healing. 6 is 52 earthship. 9 is 42, which is new. And is 19, which is DNA. So 3, 6, and 9. That comes to 169, which comes to Great Awakening, the Great Awakening, and it comes to Thomas Bushnell, and it comes to Trump Tower. So Tesla even said back then, if you know the power of 3, 6, and 9, one way he's telling us is also referring to not just his Tesla hotel, but to Trump Tower. Trump Tower, 3, 6, and 9. You know,
it's crazy.
169.
Well, Thomas, I got to head out and go get the kiddos, but it was awesome catching up with you.
A lot of fun. Thanks, Rach. Say hi to the family. And you say Thomas. Thomas is magazine 76, a magic wand. So if you do George magazine.
I did it on purpose. I said I did it on
purpose, yeah. And George magazine is 133, which is simulation. And I wonder, people, if that's perhaps maybe what we might be in. So
seems like
click the link below. Sign up to Rach. Click Rach's YouTube. Hit subscribe. Hit the notification bell. And there's a 3-part process now. If you're on I don't think you can do it on you can do it on your phone. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, and then click all. So it's 3. 111 is perfection. 111 is New York. And 111 plus 111 is 222, 1,000 years apiece. Wind of New Yorker. So do it. That's what you need to do, everyone. And on mine, likewise on my ones. So Site Club and the Tom Numbers Show. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, and hit all. And it helps more than you know. So we appreciate and love you and thank you. 124.
124.
124. There you go.
All
Thanks,
right.
Rach.
I'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.